is gone.
Hannah, how did you know that Zach picked the High Life? That was a Zach surprise. So, all right, gonna mute this over here.
Do the beer run. That's awesome.
All right. And producer Craig, just let me know as well that we're live on YouTube as well. So if you guys want to get a little bit higher of a video resolution on our second camera, you can go over to the European Watch Company YouTube channel, and we're also live there. So again, thank you guys so much for joining. We really appreciate it, and we are going to jump right in. Actually, first, we made it, Robert. Cheers.
Friday.
That was a really weak cheers. Try that again. That's better. Gotta get the good sound. So, all right, producer Craig says we sound good, we look good, we feel good. So
I can see us. For those of you watching on YouTube, we have our second camera here. And for those of you on Instagram, I'm just going to see if I can get this adjusted so that you guys can see, because right now it's too tall. So if I'm showing something like this, I know YouTube gets it. Instagram, can you see that this time?
hold on.
Let us know. Let us know if you're getting sound. Let us know if you're getting visuals. I'm going to switch this back. We are still working out the technical arrangements of everything here, and eventually we'll have a more permanent setup, but we wanted to get to you guys as quickly as we can.
Thanks for bearing with us, everybody.
So I feel like we should start with the fact that it's been a very interesting week in the world of watches.
It has.
Some controversy over the Only Watch auction recently, which I'm sure all of you are aware of. And it's very interesting to see on the two sides. You know, you have some brands pledging full support.
Yep.
Because we have F.P.
F.P.
Journe
Yep.
writing a letter and saying that he is still in full support. And then we have Audemars Piguet pulling out and saying that they're not going to participate this year.
So if you're not familiar, Only Watch is a biannual charity watch auction. It was actually started, I believe, in 2005 by I can't remember his last name. It starts with a P, producer Craig, doesn't really matter. But he had a son who had a rare version of muscular dystrophy, and as a way to raise money and fundraise to try and find a cure for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, he started this. He approached a number of different high-end watch manufacturers and asked them if they would donate piece-unique, one-of-one pieces to be auctioned to raise money for. Thank you, Luke Pedavino. Knew it started with a P. I was there. Anyways, he asked for the watch manufacturers to create, like I said, piece-unique, one-of-one pieces that could be auctioned to raise money for research into, to find a cure. And over the past, now it's been 18 years, this 2023 is slated to be the 10th biannual auction. They've raised over $100 million, actually. So
it's been tremendously successful.
Incredibly
we've
successful.
Seen some amazing results come out of there. We've seen amazing watches produced for there. Let us know what you guys think. Do you still support Only Watch? Do you think that they are doing right by what they're saying they're doing? Do you trust them?
Yeah, so we didn't really get to it, but the controversy basically is that there are now questions surrounding where the money that has been raised actually goes.
I should have said that.
The auction has raised over $100 million, and apparently roughly $50 million has been deployed over the past 18 years. So again, there's been some questions recently about how is the money being used, how much is actually going to fund research, and
isn't this common though? Isn't this kind of a common theme for because it does cost money to run these charities? It does. There's more to it than we as outside bystanders might think. So I don't feel like they're unique.
No.
In this,
the one unique piece is that they are it's a Monaco organization, and traditionally, historically, Monegasque financial laws. I don't know if you're aware, it's somewhat of a tax haven for wealthy individuals. So they're not very transparent. So, Only Watch has committed to being completely financially transparent. They've hired forensic auditors to go through and basically open up the books completely. So they're being completely cooperative.
That to me would be a big vote of confidence. So I'm surprised to see AP actually pull out. So if you guys have thoughts, please pop them in the comments. We are curious as to what you guys think about all of this.
we're playing around with some ideas of ways to kind of play with the different pieces, to highlight some pieces, to talk about what we think they're going to go for and everything. So keep an eye on our YouTube channel for that. Producer Craig, do you have anything over there?
We have some YouTube. Rick on Watches says, "Hi guys, greetings from Chicago. Geezer's back. Right, EWC crew. Mufasa, Justin and Robert are the best combo." And I guess he's Dr. Paul's son.
Oh, Chris. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Chris.
And Geezer also says, "Patek 5212, a future collectible?" Question mark.
Yes, it's a hand painted dial, so fairly unique, interesting complication with that weekly calendar.
And in steel.
And in steel, exactly.
An initial offering like that to be in steel is really quite something. David, can you unplug this monitor? I think we're getting an audio thing from that, and we're not using it anyway.
Yep.
Just
unplug it. All right, we're going to jump into some of the pieces that we have on the table here. If you're not familiar with the format, once again, some of these pieces are available on our website. We'll make sure we call those out. Other pieces are not quite listed yet on the site. This is a kind of sneak peek at what's coming in. So if you do see something that you like, keep an eye on our website, because if you don't see it yet, it will be coming soon. If you have questions about pieces, if there are pieces that you want us to pull out of the safe, maybe show, compare, whatever, we'll do our absolute best to keep producer Craig running around and bringing us all the good stuff. So
let me look at our Instagram stream, because we have a lot of people on.
Let's talk about one watch. Let's give the people what they want first, and then we can talk about who's watching. What do you want to start with, Robert?
So I put a couple on the tray here to get us started. So I put two very different watches here on the tray. I'm going to start with one that I picked for this week, which is the Patek 5975,
yep.
Right? This was a watch that was done for the 175th anniversary of Patek Philippe, which I believe
2014.
was in 2014.
Yep.
It says that on the back. And this was a really interesting offering from Patek, and I think when it came out, it had very kind of mixed reviews, and I think it's still to this day. Is a piece that people kind of go back and forth on. So we have, if I remember correctly, an automatic chronograph, which was very strange for Patek, because the only ones, that's the other thing that is a bit controversial,
why I wanted you to.
Is that there is no display back on this. There is a case back with engraving that reads Patek Philippe Genève, 175th anniversary, 1839 to 2014. It's a good run.
I'm going to move this out of the way here because we're getting double
sorry,
focus.
Folks, with the focus. So the lack of a display back is something many people say is the problem with this watch, and that could be the case.
I mean, it's so the 5975 in general is not my favorite Patek reference. I think just visually, it's not, for whatever reason, it doesn't appeal to me. But this piece, this reference in platinum with the black dial, it's a totally different animal, and I absolutely love the way that this looks with that, just very simple white printing. You have
I think the snail dial is killer, though.
Right, but for whatever reason, on a white, silver, cream, opaline dial, it doesn't work for me, but that black with that, kind of bold silver, white scales, I think it's beautiful. So you have a pulsometer, and you have it's a telemetry scale.
Right, the base 1000 is on there.
Right,
and
a pulsometer to base 15, I believe.
And the kilometers per hour.
Well, all right, so I actually did a little bit of research because
you're a nerd.
No, I'm not. I'm the farthest thing from it, actually. But no, because these kinds of pieces with these interesting snail dials, with a pulsometer, with a, telemetry scale, I know these terms, and to be honest, I really had, I knew generally that a pulsometer has to do with your pulse and beats per minute and whatnot.
Right, we know the doctor's watch.
Correct,
we
exactly.
get that.
So in this case, this was designed, or a pulsometer is designed to help a doctor measure, the beats per minute of a patient's heart. This is a base 15, so in 15 seconds, you take the reading, you multiply by 4, you have the beats per minute. That's simple.
Mm-hmm.
The telemetry scale is a little bit more complicated, and I needed to do some research on that. So apparently, what I've found, correct me if I'm wrong, you, internet, whoever, the purpose is to measure the distance of the watch yourself from an event that you can see before you hear. So the examples that I've seen, the most common one is that you're watching fireworks, you see the lights in the sky, you then hear the boom however many seconds later. So in that situation, you would have your you just casually have your 5975p ready. You would wait until the firework explodes, you see the light. As soon as you see the light, you start that chrono. And then you wait. When you hear the sound roll through, the boom, you then stop the chrono, and using the scales, you're able to calculate your distance from where that firework exploded, essentially.
One of my good customers told me that he would love to get a Speedmaster with that bezel on it, because they did do a few of those telemetry bezels.
Yep.
And he liked it because when he was in the Marines,
Yeah.
they actually used something like that for mortar fire.
Oh, wow.
To know
How
far
they were?
that mortar
That's
was,
super
and
cool.
when it was going to hit and what they needed to do and stuff.
That's
and
a little bit more. That's a little more intense than a firework going off, or
right.
maybe timing how far you are from a
but
lightning
that was the
strike
first
or
time I had
something.
heard somebody say, "Oh, I know how to use that,"
Yeah.
and I just thought that was very cool.
So again, like super niche complication or use case. If you're a doctor at a firework display, I think you're ready to go. You can determine how far you are from the firework, and you can track your heart rate. You can track your heart rate as well.
The multi-scale thing is a very pocket watchy vintage idea, right?
Yep.
You see that on stuff from the 20s and things
30s,
like that.
those
You see the
Omega
snail dial,
dials. Exactly, yeah.
So
super interesting piece.
super cool. Very interesting case, Art Deco details. Very interesting buckle. It's got one of the few Patek's that have writing on the buckle.
I don't know if we mentioned it, but this is a limited edition of 100 total pieces. So this is the first time we've ever seen this piece. It's incredibly rare. They almost never come up for sale at auction.
Yeah, I've never seen a black
otherwise.
Thomas
Exactly.
Diamond.
I've never seen it in person, and I honestly can't remember the last time I saw one in an auction catalog as well. So I honestly can't remember at all.
Been a while.
So just super impressive piece, rare, kind of a cool way to start off the list. So let me I think I believe it's available on the website. I want to let the people know what we're
While you're
working
looking
with
at
here.
that, I will say hello.
It is on hold already.
Whoa.
At $189,000. So, like we said, super, super rare piece. When it comes up, people jump on it. So I'm actually really excited that we're able to show you guys, because I don't know the next time we'll ever see one of these again. So yeah, go for it, Rob.
So hello to Collector GMT, Sartorial Louisianan. We know where you're from. Murat Dogan, 42. Lewis RS. Dayco watches CCH 12.
Ooh, JRF 1975 just telling us that he just poured a Macallan 12. Good choice, sir. Cheers.
Yes, very good choice. Can't go wrong with Macallan. Lots of people on here, which is great. I'm kind of looking for names I can pronounce, like the Art of Watches. I like
Nice.
that. Marley 101, because there's many. Izzy into Hizzy. Izzy into Hizzy. I like that. There we go.
I love it.
I should have had more fun with mine.
I know, right?
Gaspar Garcia.
I've had my same screen name since I was like 13. That was my AOL screen name too, so I'm not changing that at this
point.
point.
And it sticks forever. Cool.
All right.
Well, thank you all for joining us again. Yeah. For those of you who are just logging in, we are on Instagram with the split screen. We're going to have another watch over here in a moment. And we are on YouTube with two higher definition camera angles. So feel free to join us on either platform, and feel free to throw questions in the comments. We are keeping an eye on that. Do we have anything on YouTube?
Pujan Dinesha says, hello guys.
Hello, Pujan.
All right, let's jump on to my
go?
first choice now. This guy. So if you want to go ahead and show that off. So another super interesting piece, recent release. This is the Moser Pioneer cylindrical tourbillon. So just, yeah, there you go. Is that my phone that we're getting up the...
I'm not sure. It's not the phone, because I've turned that down. I think it might be the computer.
Okay, all right. If there's any kind of echo or anything, please let us know in the comments, because we're hearing a little bit of craziness. But anyways, the Moser. So Pioneer cylindrical turb. It's a 42.8 millimeter stainless steel case. I'm going to consult my notes because I'm not super familiar with all the details of this guy. So you have a really gorgeous skeletonized movement. Skeletonized dial showing off that gorgeous movement. It has
I'm trying to show you guys the depth, but not the easiest thing to do.
the main
in a
plate and
camera.
bridges have a anthracite PVD finish on them, so it really makes those the tourbillon first of all, but then all the wheels, all the inner gear train, it really pops. See, yeah, you can kind of get it there. And then you have a 1 minute flying tourbillon at 6 o'clock, and then there's a cylindrical hairspring that is kind of stacked there as well. So
If you look at this in real life, instead of the hairspring existing in the two-dimensional flat kind of world we're used to, it's quite tall. And
Yeah.
the tourbillon cage is like the biggest thing I've ever seen, because it's got to be what, like 4 or 5 mil high
Yeah,
in
it's
there.
huge.
It's nuts.
yeah, there's tons and tons of depth in this, in the construction of this piece, and it's interesting.
Super wearable.
So cylindrical hairspring paired with a tourbillon just obviously doubles down on accuracy. We just lost our secondary camera, David, up top, but just a really interesting way that they isolated the time up on that smaller kind of subsidiary dial up at 12 o'clock. So there we go.
We're back.
Yep. So you kind of have that gorgeous blue fume finish on that small dial up at 12 o'clock, which is where the time is, and then the rest of the piece is just totally wide open to show off the movement, the tourbillon,
Even the
those
rotor.
bridges.
The rotor is like a figment of what it once was.
Yeah.
There's nothing left there.
Yeah. So super cool piece. And like you said, even at 40, almost 43 millimeters, it wears nicely. It's super light.
I was going to say
actually.
titanium, right? So
No, it's
like
steel,
they're
actually. It's
no
steel.
way.
Yeah.
This is steel?
Yeah.
No.
Let me confirm.
It's one,
Let
it's
me
too gray, and
confirm.
two, it's too light.
Hold on. Let's see. I'm almost certain that it's steel.
I'm almost certain you're wrong
Well,
again.
look at the stamp. Look at the stamping on the back. We can figure it out.
Oh.
Cylindrical. See if I can spell.
That's really so. The skeletonization of this is absolutely incredible. Moser, not necessarily a company that's like all about the finishing, but I think that in terms of like what's here is really, really nicely done, man. And like the dial
Steel.
is domed. Wow.
Steel.
No way.
I win. The Moser website. Case material. Steel.
Oh, this is like the lightest steel watch.
We need
Maybe
like
because
a,
most of it is glass.
We need like a little graphic over here with like a ding that says "point for me," but that's okay. I won't keep track. Don't worry.
Yeah, sure. Believe that. So yeah, this is very cool. This is an amazing watch, and automatic, and not like I don't feel like it's too thick. A lot of times you get automatic tourbillons
Yep.
and they're really thick, but
Yep.
this is something. If you wore this and you were in a meeting, you'd have no idea what that meeting was about because you'd stare at it the whole
Yeah.
time. Like I barely hear what you're saying right now. But
That's the norm. Got a couple people on here want to just call out. So the
Hi, Jeff.
Very nice. The finance stud. Hey guys, European watch are the best, but I didn't get an invite to the Quinn House for the celebration. Yikes, burn. If you guys didn't
what
know,
celebration is he talking about,
yes.
Justin?
So this 2023 is EWC's 30th anniversary. Albert Ganji founded the company back in 1993. To celebrate, we threw a little bit of a bash this past
Shindig.
Sunday evening at the Quinn House here in Boston. Sorry if we weren't able to invite absolutely everybody we wanted to. We missed a lot of people, but we had a lot of fun. Hopefully, we're going to have a lot more events in the future where we can welcome more people. We were very, very limited with the number of people that we could have there, but just a really cool event. Lots of friends, lots of longtime clients.
I was going to say
it's
it's really interesting too to see people who have been working with Albert and European Watch for 20, 25,
years.
30 years,
Yeah.
where they've known him from the very beginning.
Mhm.
And anybody who's known us for any period of time knows that he didn't start with Paddocks and Moser
No.
tourbillons and things that we showing every
It was
day.
Ebel and Blancpain was the high end.
Jacques
pieces.
Dos, yeah.
Jacques
I
Dos,
mean,
yeah, exactly.
And so it's really cool for us to look at this place and see how it has grown and
Yeah.
evolved, and how our customers and you guys are the
Yep.
ones who are really taking us to that next level by working with pieces like this, and it makes our job a lot more fun.
It does.
So thanks.
I mean, it was cool. Like, talking to some of those guys and ladies who have been with the company literally for almost 30 years. There was one who's a longtime client and a really good friend now of the company and the family. And, it was cool to kind of hear about his first interactions with the company, hear about what his first watch was that he purchased from us. It was just a very simple, I think it was a Longa Saxonia back in the day, and now he's got an incredible collection and just like wild stuff. But it was really neat to hear, kind of people's point of entry, their experiences over the years. So, really, really cool event. We're really happy that so many people were able to come, that we were able to see everybody. Thank you so much for everyone's support. And like we said, hopefully there'll be many more events in the future where we can have some more people come by. So, what's up next?
I just want to see. Celebrate 31. We probably should, right?
Anna's got good ideas.
It's always a goal and worth celebrating. Paddock Collector is on. Jimbo Jeff. Who else do we have? Cat Bomb 20. That's a name.
We know who that is.
We might. Cato 7187. I think we know who that is.
I do know who that is.
All right. Cool. All right.
Next up.
So my next one. This is very interesting because this is almost like two watches put together in the greatest way possible. We have a Speedmaster, which everybody is familiar with, but then we add to that a beautiful, is it aventurine?
It's aventurine,
sparkly aventurine dial. So you almost get like the night sky on your wrist.
It's also not just your standard Speedmaster.
Because it has a moon phase
at 12 o'clock.
The moon watch with a moon phase.
Exactly. Moon phase and date, actually.
Which is useless.
The date is useless, yeah.
I don't understand. I think it is perfectly fine to have a moon phase without a date.
I honestly think it was just the functionality was there with the movement that Omega was using, and they said, sure, let's do it.
Yeah, well, the Speedy Moons have always done that.
Right.
It's very difficult to show you guys a case back when we have a bracelet, but we're gonna do our best. So you get, you've
all seen a Speedmaster.
The standard, yeah, like the view from the case back. It's the more complicated movement, obviously, with the moon phase and the date, but it is the manual wind, which everybody
just the caliber
prefers.
1866, very straightforward. You're right, that is the one that people prefer. But really, it's all about that dial. I mean, you got that crazy sparkle.
And it's not that much thicker with the additional complication, which is really nice. You add a little bit to it, but it's
14.8, so it's on the chunkier side for what it is.
Yeah, but a regular Speedmaster is not that much thinner than this. I mean, it wears,
I think it's like two
if I had this on my wrist, I'd be wearing a Speedmaster.
Isn't it 2 millimeters? Isn't it like 12.8?
Exactly. Yeah, what's 2 millimeters between friends?
I'm not touching
that. But to me, just super cool. Because with the heritage of the moon watch and everything, and then to add the sparkly dial. Also a watch we really don't see. I think we've had 2 of these.
With the...
Because when we were pricing it the other day, I was looking up other references to see how many times we've had this reference. We've had it once on a strap, and now we've had it once on a bracelet, and that is it, folks. And we're talking about a database that's been running since 2008.
Yeah.
So this is legitimately a rare watch.
Yeah. It's. I mean, to be honest, if I was looking for a Speedmaster, that's not my first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th choice, but I think I appreciate that it exists, and I do really. There you go. Actually, good point, Rob. To get it off of that blue, so you can kind of see it a little bit better. But
see if that helps. I was just gonna lay it down too, and I didn't want to.
It's just impressive. I mean, the aventurine. It's it's a fairly difficult material to work with. There's 2 different kinds. You have the glass, and I believe you have the actual mineral, the natural mineral.
Like the stone.
The stone one. I'm pretty sure this is the glass, but...
It looks like it, and it's at a price point where that probably makes more sense.
Yeah.
But then it's so funny because you look at the Longa that has this dial, and that's, a completely different treatment. That's not even aventurine. Yeah, that's like a totally different thing, but you get the same kind of effect. So I think it's very cool to see watchmakers using these different materials.
I guess my criticism of this piece is that if you're going to use a material like aventurine, really let it shine. There's too much going on in that dial with
Ooh.
those multiple sub dials. I mean, obviously it's a
Critique.
yeah, I mean, why not? It's a speedy, so you got to have those 3 sub dials, those 3 sub registers. But with the moon at 12, with the date, you're losing some of the the real estate.
But it's
for-
legible. Like time is legible.
Sure.
The date,
The
whether
hands
you
don't
have the
disappear,
sparkle dial or not, it's not a legible watch unless you can see, which I can't. But killer, I love it. I love it. I think it's at a good price point. I think if you buy this,
$15.9, I
I
believe.
wish it had
It's in
plastic
stock right now.
on the front. but,
$15.9. Yeah, well, you can't have it all, Robert.
No,
so,
you can't.
You're just really
can't.
you're needy. All right. Next up,
Not a lot of questions today. Are you sleeping?
sleep at the wheel.
Did
out
you
there.
is that Macallan too tasty and you can't put it down to type a question? So for those of you joining us, I'm Rob, this is Justin. We're here in Boston at European Watch Company. We are on Instagram with a split screen view, and we are on YouTube with 2 higher quality camera angles. Join us on whichever platform you prefer, but keep an eye on our YouTube. We have a couple of videos that we had an awful lot of fun filming that are going to be in the can soon, and there's going to be some interesting kind of things pertaining to current events soon as well. So please do be liking and subscribing.
We do have a couple questions, so people do
Good.
listen when we ask things. So, Sabrigas asks us, what do we think of Philippe Dufour? Robert?
I've never seen one
I
in
was
real
going to
life.
say, I've never handled
I
one in real life.
I don't
so-
think we ever will because
don't
it's
say never.
But it's such a unicorn of a watch. You know, they go
Yeah.
to auction.
Right.
And they fetch tremendous prices,
Sure.
or they're probably traded privately. I
But
don't.
we've had plenty of pieces over the years that if you just mentioned the model, you told people what it was, they would have the same reaction that, oh wow, that's an unobtainable piece that only trades privately or at auction. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I do agree that it's probably less probable than a lot of the other pieces that that we have had.
Yeah.
Whether it's crazy Jorn, early Turb or a pre-subscription or something like that.
And I think it's definitely one of those watches where you can't pass judgment with a photo.
No,
You
absolutely
can't
not.
look at that and be like, man, this is gorgeous. Because there are definitely watches, and we have watches in this category here at the store where it's like you don't get it if you're just looking at it on a screen.
Mhm.
You got to hold it. You got to
Sure.
put it on your wrist. You got to experience it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that's just kind of a different thing.
YouTube question.
What we got?
Mufasa says, white, yellow, or rose gold? What is hot and what is not?
I mean, it's all personal. Like,
Yellow.
I've kind of...
Yellow. Yellow.
And I'm
And we are regretting that I am in control of the switcher.
I am definitely
Yellow.
regretting that decision.
Yellow.
No, I mean, it really is. We tell our clients all the time that, you got to buy what you love. Like, who cares what... This
Look
is
at that and
different.
tell me it doesn't
This
look
is
like a
different.
watch.
This is different.
Yellow gold.
No, yeah, right. Okay, so this is another one that's on the table we'll talk about. So this is a Patek Aquanaut 5065. So it's second generation Aquanaut. 30
Yes, because 66 was first.
Correct.
Slightly smaller.
Slightly smaller. This is 38. This is yellow gold, but this has the most insane patina on it that it really reads more as rose gold from afar than it does yellow.
This is a one owner watch, original condition. This is like, so we are spoiled, right? We get to see some of the most incredible pieces
Yeah.
that have ever been put together
Jeez, we
in
really
this
do.
store. Yeah, no, it ruins you horologically.
Yeah, it does.
To put it simply, it
Yeah.
ruins you.
Yeah.
This to me is exciting.
Yeah,
right.
agreed.
Like this is super cool and I love it, and like we get stuff that's like it's mind blowing.
Sure.
But this to me is when it gets really exciting. When you see something that's 20 years old, I
Yep.
think this is from 2003 or thereabouts. 20 years old, nobody's messed with this watch. It's been worn gently.
Yep.
And it's perfect. It's like time capsule.
I mean, you worked with the client here in store to purchase that piece, and as soon as he, or maybe even before that, you had cut the check, he brought it back to my desk and was like, "Oh my God, look what I'm buying right now," and it's like he's saying, we're constantly blown away by these super rare 100-piece 5975 crazy platinum Patek, whatever it might be, these really rare things, and then something fairly pedestrian comes in. Obviously I understand it. This is a valuable watch and it's a Patek and everything, but this just tells you how twisted we are at this point. Something for us that is fairly pedestrian comes in, but it's just in incredible condition and it's got like gorgeous, unique patina. these are the kind of things that we really get excited about now. Seeing a full set. There you go. I was going to say as well, this is the first generation with the sapphire case back, showing off that movement. 315 SC? I think it's a 315 SC. Regardless.
This might be a 324. I can't see because
no, that's not 324.
It's a 315.
315, okay.
You get one. You're right for one.
That's twice. 2 in 1. 2 in 1 hour. I'm right. I'm gonna
write it down because it doesn't happen.
Anyways, like those are the kind of pieces that we get really excited about. But going back to kind of like the the rose, white, yellow, gold question, it's really what works for you. I mean, and it really depends on the model as well. Like there are plenty of pieces that I like specifically in rose gold, and then say the Rolex Yachtmaster. I love the modern mid-size and full-size rose gold Yachtmasters on the Oyster Flex in rose. But then something like this comes in yellow gold, or a 3940 in yellow gold.
But if that yellow gold Yachtmaster Oyster Flex was 40 instead of 42,
yes, but
it would be better.
It
would be better.
No,
yes, it would.
So.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
Also skin tone. Think about your skin tone
Correct.
and what looks good on it. We have some people, they put rose on and it like either disappears or it just doesn't blend well. So you want to try it on. And every maker is different.
Yes.
Everybody's alloy is different. So especially for rose, which is not a natural material. If you look at Omega's Sedna gold and you look at Rolex's No, that's
Hold on,
the
that's
steel
the
thingy.
no, that's the yellow.
Everrose.
thank you.
Everrose gold. They're
branded.
all different.
They are.
Longa,
I was gonna
Patek,
say,
they're all different.
Personally, my favorite is Longa's. It's got like a really interesting hue to it. You can't even describe it.
Some of them get very coppery. Some are more yellow.
Coppery,
yeah.
exactly.
So anyway, that's that. There's a couple of things on here I wanted to find. Horology says, hey. Then views on the market for Patek 5270 and 5970. Two very different references in my opinion.
Agreed.
There's a lot more 5270s.
I was going to say the 5970 is really the true end of the previous kind of generation of Patek, not even Grand Comp, just Patek.
Well, that was the end of the Philippe Stern era.
Correct. And then and then the 5270 really signals the beginning of the modern and it's a more modern Patek aesthetic, Patek design,
in-house movement,
exactly. So
hacking seconds. All of you who hate that Pateks don't hack, of course you just buy one without a second hand. You got no problem.
Problem solved. I mean, I think that the market for the 5970 is going to continue to just get higher. I mean,
it's a very good watch.
It's an incredible watch.
It's aesthetically, it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Patek and the perpetual calendar chrono is one of those relationships that nothing can
It's their signature.
There was a word. I don't know what it is. It's Friday at 5 o'clock. Nothing will tarnish that relationship. That, like, when you think of Patek, you will think of, no pun intended, you will think of the perpetual calendar chronograph because that is what they do best. I think 3970s are tremendously undervalued.
Agreed.
I apologize you didn't actually ask about that. But
he's right though.
They are so good, especially if you're
overlooked.
like us and you enjoy that vintagey kind of size. Like and the no scales. I love
I was going to say, I think aesthetically the 3970 is a more successful design, and I gravitate more towards that, and right now it happens to be an incredible value compared to both the 5970 and the 5270, to a certain degree.
Yeah,
so
5270, you've got so much variation there.
You do.
There's a lot of different versions, and I think in terms of like wearing it, it's very nice to wear. It's a good size. It's relatively thin. The case is well designed.
It's crazy to say that it could be an everyday watch. You could wear a Patek Grand Comp as your everyday piece easily too. You could even just go white, gold, silver and just be totally under the radar, and no one would even really know. So
that first series, which there's a lot of them out there, so that one tends to be the most accessible price point wise, but the brushed texture on that dial is a stunner.
It's really nice.
It's really good.
Yeah, they're great.
We've got one other Instagram question that I wanted to hit because I think it's really good.
What do you got?
Jake Buxpan
Okay.
said, what would you say is the craziest watch either of you have seen? And then unicorn. So what is that unicorn? And for Justin and I both, You're 7 years, I'm 8.
Yeah.
Something like that. So we have been doing it for a little while. We have seen thousands and thousands of watches.
Seen a lot.
Where would you go? What's
I'm-
your unicorn?
So I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to try and refresh my memory here by looking at our database for some things that have come through. Rob, do you have something off the top of your head? Because and again, like, we're going to sound incredibly just like spoiled, but it's almost hard to pick the craziest things we've seen. I mean, I've seen.
So there is a watch that I saw. So I shall now bore you all with the story.
Please don't.
I have to set the expectations.
Oh, God.
There is a watch that I saw. I walked in to European Watch Company without knowing anything.
Uh-huh.
This was back in
This
2008.
is before you worked for the
Yes,
company? Okay.
this was 2008. I was walking on Newbury Street and I saw European Watch Company and I liked watches, so I went inside and I was looking through the cases and I didn't know any of these brands. I didn't know anything past like Rolex and Tag Heuer because that's who was advertising and stuff, right? That's what you would see.
Sure.
And the gentleman who still works here, who helped me, said, "What kind of things do you like?" And I said, "I'm a big fan of like square and rectangular watches." And so he showed me some things, and he showed me the first Reverso I've ever seen, which blew my mind.
Oh, that was the
I
first
like,
one you saw
"Whoa."
in person?
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
cool.
Tony showing me a Reverso because I said I like, square-ish watches.
Yeah.
And he pulled out the Reverso Art Deco in white gold with a salmon dial.
This must be your unicorn. Right?
And that watch still haunts me to this day because since I have been here at European Watch Company, the only version of that we have seen is on the full white gold bracelet, which is cool, but it's not the one
it's
I
not
would
the
want.
right one.
I want the one on the strap. That watch still haunts me. That thing is just because you get a salmon dial white gold case, and then on the back, I believe it's a rose gold movement in the white gold case, and it's fully decorated. It
It's
almost
beautiful.
looks Breguet-ish, and it's yeah. I get fizzy just thinking about it. Like that is as close to a unicorn for me. And it's not, it's not the $500,000 Journe or something like that. It's this
No.
Reverso that's just one of the most amazing things I ever saw, and it left a really indelible impression
Sure.
on me.
I mean, you are Mr.
Seeing it.
Reverso now.
I am.
So
Well,
we
that's
have
what
Tony to
started
thank
it.
for that. I
That
didn't
was the
realize
beginning. That
That's
was when
really
it was
cool.
like, man, this is the wildest thing I've ever seen.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
I had no idea that Tony was the one that introduced you to your Rolex. I'm sorry,
Ooh,
your
we have a
Reverso
request
fixation.
for the Urwerk Ultraviolet. Can we see if we can grab that?
For sure. So
Thank you,
I
Craig.
just kind of looked through our inventory over the past however many years now to kind of jog my memory, and there have been I can't think of anything that is as like of an emotional connection as you had. I'm going purely just like being blown away by things, and the one that
That's
really
emotional.
true.
Don't sell
The
yourself
one
short.
that really jumps out to me. So I have three, but the one that really jumps out is the RM002.
Oh, that Kirby.
Oh man, so early Richard Mille with a tourbillon. And
So
let me- I'll look up
02, meaning it's basically the second
model
reference
that
he
they
ever
produced. Correct,
created,
correct.
right?
And I want to just pull up the actual details on this guy real quick because we had it for a very short time. We know where it lives now, and I want it to come back. Hold on, because
I remember
there it is.
Joshua being really impressed with that one as well. Thank you, Craig.
And to be honest, it's again like Richard Mille was never necessarily my thing. I wasn't, and still like there are certain models that I love. We talked about the RM67, the extra flat last week. I love the 67 and 02. The smaller, thinner, more kind of under the radar references, if that makes any sense for Richard Mille. But the RM002 is a manual wind tourbillon in white gold and titanium, and it's 38 millimeters. It's that tonneau, that small tonneau case, and it's
thick, but it's not overbearing.
no, and it's only 11.8 millimeters thick. So it's
thinner than this Moser.
It's thinner than the Moser. It's about the same thickness as a sub.
Yeah.
And it's in that small tonneau shaped case. So that piece.
I
just,
feel like it
blew
rides
me
a little
away.
higher. Like when I had it on my wrist for the short moment that I did it, it feels taller than that spec implies, but that could just be the geometry.
It's just it's
and that probably is like unless that one comes back.
Yeah.
we
No.
probably won't see another one. That was
way.
Sasquatch in the woods in a blurry
real.
videotape.
100%.
We may or may not see another one of those.
we
so
saw it.
that's a good shout.
We saw it for a fleeting moment, then it was gone.
I'll
And then
drink to that.
yeah, exactly. Cheers. And then
You need another.
I do need another. Couple others, just two others real quick. The Regency dial tourbillon, just again, totally unobtainable. That one's more well known, but the amount of work that goes into creating that specific dial. And the story with that one is absolutely incredible because the master engraver that was contracted or was hired by Journe to do the dial, he was supposed to make 2 in that style that would be housed in a platinum case. He made 1, the one that we sold, and then he passed away. So they never made the next one. So that is it's one of one.
Yeah.
It's an incredible piece. And when you really, being able to hold it in person and, we looped it and looking at it really closely, like the entire dial is completely engraved, and the amount of work that goes into it, and then pairing that with the Journe movement,
I felt that with that
tourbillon.
subscription Turby. Holding that in my hand, that was like, this is history.
It feels like a piece of history. And then one more thing, the crash skeleton that we had a little while ago, it just like, I'm a self-professed Cartier slut, and that one was just like completely amazing.
So please don't apologize. Where'd you go? I saw you saying sorry for making us think. That was a great question.
Yeah, we love that kind of stuff.
And GF Prone on
what is that? Sorry, producer Craig is just bringing something in, and I don't know what's happening. What did George say?
The answer to the previous gold question is all 3, and I do agree that there's redeeming qualities to all 3, but yellow.
Yeah,
I couldn't find more high life, but Zach wanted me to give this to you.
What is that?
It is.
That looks like tequila.
Amber tequila.
Oh no.
That looks like tequila.
So, guys.
I'm driving home, so I'm not gonna have any tequila right
Guys.
now. Thank
We
you
might
very
have to
much.
save that for next week.
Yeah. I
Save it
can't.
for-
I'm not mixing. Hey, if producer Craig and David on the camera wants to rip a tequila shot, go right ahead.
Don't eat the worm. All right.
All right. Next up, so this is the Urwerk Ultraviolet.
We
Let
had
me
a
pull up
special
the
request, so
details on
I
this
pulled it
guy.
out. This is a UR100, I believe. Is that right?
I believe you're right, but let me look.
I'm gonna flip this little.
Look at me telling you that you might
Holding
be
it
right
the
about
correct
something.
way.
Yes, UR100V. UR100V Ultraviolet.
I think this is tremendously cool.
I
I
mean,
really like.
This is the kind of stuff that Urwerk should be doing. It's wild. It's totally out there. Show you're a little bit out of focus. There you go. Try and show the. I'm sure you already did. The crazy purple dial, paired with the white strap and
the case too is purple ceramic. The whole thing is purple.
Is it? It looks black. It looks black from here. Is
Well,
it dark? It's dark purple.
That's
it
the
is
good
dark
part.
purple.
You got to
That's
play
wild.
with it in the light, and then it'll look very subdued and black. And then like if we were out in the sunlight right now, this thing would pop.
Yeah.
I love anything that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Right.
And this, it's a little small. I'm not gonna get it.
Rob
on.
has a giant hand.
Justin might have to put this one on because I can't
Oh my
do
God.
it.
You suck.
There was no judgment there.
But
there was no judgment.
Like you said, for a company that doesn't take itself too seriously, but the watchmaking is incredibly serious.
Right.
So, Orbital.
They call it a satellite display, right?
Thank you. Orbital
They call it
satellite display.
And then
with
this is the
wandering hours.
Yeah.
It actually is quite small.
And
It's
then
too
this
tight-
one
it's too
does
tight for
the
me, but
this one does the the what is it? There's an equation on there that is way over my head. I remember looking it up when we first got it.
yeah, it has to do. I don't remember. It's something about the rotation of the Earth and figuring out. I don't remember. No one cares. Let's see. Hold on. When not pointing to the minute track, the hands will also show the distance traveled by the Earth on its orbit within its rotation along the equator over a 20-minute period. So in case you were wondering, you have a pressing need to know how far the Earth has traveled along the equator over the past 20 minutes. This watch has got you covered, don't worry. But again, like incredible, serious watchmaking.
Yeah.
In a purple
In a
ceramic
purple package.
case,
Is the crystal purple?
No.
No, the crystal is clear. It's
That's
everything
just
underneath.
reflecting.
It almost looks like, because of that domed crystal and just the way the movement, the dial and that wild handset, for lack of a better term, the satellite display, kind of arches up under the crystal. It almost looks like the crystal is tinted purple, like the Milgauss with the green crystal, but it's not. I love it.
Super.
I
super
really love it. It's a
interesting.
wild rotor, which I can't really show you because of the strap, but yeah,
But
I
even
mean,
the texture on the strap, on
this
the
is
underside,
very
and
cool.
everything, like
Urwerk is
super
doing
cool.
super cool stuff. Yeah, love it. Okay, so that's the ultraviolet for whoever asked. Very cool.
Sir, we have a YouTube question.
Go
Sweet.
for it. Hit us.
SurfKid16 says, favorite entry level Longo one.
Favorite entry level.
Longo one.
So I guess instead of entry level, let's just say like standard Longa 1. So we're talking a Longa 1 with the big date and the power reserve, right? And for me, I can do that very quickly because it is the 101.022 for all
So
of you
just
Longa nerds
totally-
who know what
yeah,
that is.
yeah.
Do we have any?
That we don't.
We
that
did recently, but that's the blue
we had an
hands,
022.
correct?
That's the blue hands.
Yeah.
So that is the yellow gold, surprise, with the silver dial. But then instead of your typical Longa 1, so a typical Longa 1 has the matching hands where if you have a yellow gold case, you have yellow gold hands.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have yellow gold applied Romans and hour markers. The 022 has the yellow gold case, but it has a printed dial. So you have a black printed dial and you have blued hands on it.
Yep.
And when I owned a Longa, the 1815 I had was 1815 yellow gold, and all of those are printed dials and
Yep.
all of those are blue hand. Because to me, that yellow gold blue hand combination is out of this world. I love that. And so the fact that you can get that in a Longa 1 is perfection.
And I have always loved that, just like the very distinctive design of the Longa 1. Again, I'm a sucker for asymmetry and kind of interesting configurations, and obviously pulled right in. Unfortunately, just the way that the case itself is designed and the geometry of the lugs, it doesn't sit super nicely on my wrist. So I really prefer the little Longa 1, the Kleine Longa 1. And it really, for me, it doesn't even really matter what reference. For a basic one, again, just one of the standard 36 mil. I love the stealth. It's not very entry level. The platinum with the silver
no
dial.
Longa's
but-
entry level. That's why I wanted to
know.
rephrase that and say the standard Longa 1 because, even with a brand like Longa, even their entry level watches, which
Sure.
would be like a standard Saxonia or a standard 1815, you get that same degree of finishing.
But
so,
I mean, even like so I think
Craig, can you grab
technically-
the 5935A? That's a World Time Chronograph steel with a salmon dial.
35A?
Yeah.
Technically, so I can't really show you guys because we don't have one in stock right now.
The
But
soiree.
right, there's a little Longa 1. It's called a soiree dial. I don't know if officially this one is called, and I think technically Longa bills this as a ladies' watch. They sell it as part of their women's collection, but it's just a 36 millimeter Longa 1, and it has this awesome, this is a white gold case with a gray guilloche dial, with just super interesting different textures and different, styles of decoration on the dial, and it's just an incredible piece, and it fits my wrist really well because I have a dainty little lady's wrist. But that piece, and it's probably like around 30K, somewhere somewhere in 35K. Again, not entry level, but for a fairly basic Longa, it's pretty amazing.
There's a lot going
There's a
on. There's
ton of
nothing
watch there.
basic about it.
No,
And I love
exactly.
that when you can have a watch that on the surface is very simple,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's so much going on the more you look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw somebody say it's a more wearable Urwerk, and these UR100s, compared to what is it, the 103?
Yeah, this is
The
way more
old school
wearable.
one. This
Yeah.
is definitely more wearable
Yeah.
than that. So yes, we do agree.
Well, I mean, the case is super thin. There's literally no lugs.
Yeah.
The everything is integrated, so it just
Yeah.
wears super nicely.
Thank you. So
We
that's the next
going
one.
with
Why don't we
that?
go with? I do see another question, but we'll hit that in a second. Why don't we go back to here?
Okay,
So,
I was gonna before we run out of time. I mean, not that we're gonna run out of time, but
10 minutes
I
left.
know.
This went fast.
I want to make sure that we get to the Cartier on the table because
Because it's you
because
and
it's me.
Cartier.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So here we have the 100th anniversary Tanks in Tray. This is a limited edition that they did back in, I want to say 2021.
This was a year or two ago. This
Yeah,
was not that
2021, I
long
believe.
ago.
They did 150 pieces
Doesn't
in
say.
yellow gold. And
What's that you say? Yellow?
I did say yellow gold, but look how classic and incredible that is. So what makes this piece so special is it's essentially a one-for-one recreation of the original Tangxin tray from 1921. So same dimensions, ultra thin, obviously. It's 23 millimeters wide, very narrow. It's only 6.4 millimeters thick, and it uses a reworked JLC movement, manual line movement in there.
So,
what do you got?
Fun fact, because I was looking at this watch with a customer in the showroom yesterday, and we had this one out, and we also had the yellow gold with the the standard dial, the
ruby
non-anniversary edition. So it has like a champagne dial, and then it has the burgundy numbers on it. And we had these two side by side. This is thinner than that reference.
It's
a different case.
Thick.
Yeah.
It's a totally
so
different case.
this is actually, it's not like they just slapped a different dial on it and said 100th anniversary, here you go.
No.
It's actually a different case.
Well, I mean, it's different
and the crown is different.
Different
it has
handset as well.
different handset. It has the old school like pointy cabochon, which to me
they use those
makes
those
the watch
blue breguet hands. So just absolutely incredible piece. Again, I'm a total sucker for Cartier, and this is just perfection. For me, when Cartier goes back to their back catalog, their historical references, that's where they really, that's when where they find the winners. This piece is just super elegant, super comfortable on the wrist, and it's such a statement piece, but at the same time, it's just a simple manual line time only.
But it's also
piece.
super understated.
That's what I'm saying. It's
unless
super
you're
below the radar.
in the know, you're like, that's cool, but you have no idea what it is.
It's so elegant. It's such an awesome piece. I would absolutely love to own one of these.
It looks so good.
It's such a
It's
good
the
watch.
right size.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just they killed it with this. The strap tapers nicely. And this would be a strap monster. I mean, you could put this on anything and it would look so good.
I mean, it looks great just on that light kind of calf that they give it to you on. But like you said, I mean, you could do whatever you wanted with that, and it would just be incredible. So I love that watch. That's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, just the case geometry.
Yep.
Wow.
What else you got, Robert? I think you wanted to do.
A YouTube guy asked about that Vacheron.
Cool.
Let's
show something to YouTube.
Okay.
Sorry, words is hard.
It's stock number 49334.
Okay.
Which is,
I'll pull up
It
details
is.
on it.
It is that. Switch the camera here. So we have the latest and newest third generation overseas here, and this one with the silver dial, which we actually probably see less than the blue.
We do actually.
It's funny because the blue, obviously gets the premium and is kind of the one that most people aspire to, and it's cool with the baked blue dial. I believe same company that makes blue dials for certain FP Journe.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate the kind of stealth nature of this watch.
What? I mean,
come on, that's pretty good.
Mufasa, I don't begrudge anybody their taste, but I don't know. I mean, I think that the blue is just it's.
The blue has depth.
It changes the watch. I would just get a just a date chest or even a silver dial OP.
I knew you were going to say that. But you know what though?
And it's
a
cheaper.
silver
It's
dial
half the
OP,
price.
you can't do this, right? And put a different strap on it and say, "Oh, I need another strap."
Yeah, but that's because it
off.
comes from the factory with the best bracelet ever made. You don't need to change. You don't need to change the bracelet because it's perfect.
This is a great contender for a one watch collection.
Are you out of your mind?
You're gonna have one watch. You could have this. You could have it on the steel bracelet. You could have it on the rubber. You could have it on the gator. When you're getting fancy, you put it on the gator.
Get out of here.
Come on. This is a good watch, man. And at current prices, where these have kind of settled.
Mufasa says
good
it's
deal.
Lovely and it isn't a date just. Getting some knock on you.
That's fine. That's fine. Again, everybody has their own taste, and I don't begrudge anyone. It is obviously.
And he's right.
He's right. I mean,
he's
look at actually unhook the bracelet and show off the movement. It does have obviously a higher quality movement. It's a display back.
Well, it has a finished movement.
Correct. Nice
right.
decoration.
Rolex is not finishing their movements.
Well, they don't have a display back. Yes, I'm aware, Robert. So yes, I agree. It's a higher quality piece.
This is also now in house for them.
Personally, it's not how I would deploy my cash. You know what I'm saying? I would just get the OP, and then I'd have more money to buy something else that's more interesting. But
also, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe these were the first guys who realized that a lot of these, integrated watches didn't have micro adjust.
Yep.
Patek didn't do it till this year. AP has never done it,
they're
as
never
far
gonna
as
do it.
I
Are you
know,
kidding me?
unless they did it on the new one. And
No.
this, you can just pull.
Yeah, I
and,
agree.
oh, look, I'm swollen because I'm on the airplane, and now I can breathe, and I'm not going to lose my pinky. Like, there's something to be said for that.
I agree. I agree. I mean, it's they're innovating. They're doing good things. You know, hey. It's
Wow,
a
we
great
have
watch.
somebody asking for more. Should do 90 minutes.
Yikes.
The horological hour and a half.
90 minutes. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we'll see. Why don't you? Because did somebody ask for this? This cool.
Somebody asked
Robert?
for that, so we should show that.
Show it
and
off.
I feel like, once again,
Before we run
old
out of time,
Jurgen Klopp says hello to me. I don't think it's the real Jurgen Klopp.
All right, we have
Because he's not my customer.
we have
but that'd be
4
cool.
minutes left. So
4 minutes.
get after that
Got it.
guy.
This is the second week in a row. I feel like we haven't gotten to the questions
Nope.
that people have submitted. And
Sorry.
I just want to say, we read them, and I'm like, man, that's a good question. We should talk about that. And then, if anybody who's spoke to me on the phone or worked with me, you understand that I get endlessly distracted. So this should come as no surprise. But this is a cool watch. This
It
is
is.
new for 22 or
Nope,
23?
nope, it was new this year.
This is new for 23. This is the 5935. And I remember when this first came out, I was like, why is it a different reference? Why isn't it a 5930?
Right.
It's bigger.
It's bigger.
It's bigger.
Which is not my
Um,
favorite thing, but steel, salmon dial, world timer, like that's pretty special from Patek.
And not only salmon, but salmon with a level of guilloche that we don't usually see from Patek.
Yep.
This is like, I mean, that checkerboard guilloche on there is a home run in my opinion. It's almost like a Kari light kind of dial, because you got a couple different textures, you got a couple different finishes, and it still wears really well.
It does.
You know, somebody who wears 36 all the
let's see,
time,
what-
I'd wear this. It's lightweight, because you get a lot of comp. You know, the world time with a chrono, you get some thickness, but
yeah, it's not that bad.
it's not
though.
obtrusively
I mean,
so.
and 39 and a half for diameter is not that bad. You know, in the grand scheme of things, especially when Patek's making pilot watches that are, you know,
42.
Exactly, well over 40, 42. You know, this is still quite wearable. It still reads as a dress watch. You know, you do get all of that added functionality. David, I think we just lost a camera. You know, you get a lot of added, you know, you have that, like you said, you have an incredible world time complication. You got that chrono, and you just have that beautiful decoration on both the dial side and on the movement side. What is the movement in this guy?
It's got to be the same caliber from 5930, which
Yeah,
I also am a
25,
big fan
20.
of. That blue dial 5930 is
Yes, I love that.
a phenomenal
That's a
watch as
great
well.
one.
But no, I like this a lot.
George is asking, sorry, George, about the Cartier. That is not 49647. This is 49804. Stock number 49804.
That might not be live yet, is it?
Good question.
It's
actually.
got photos,
Let
but
me check.
I don't think it's been pushed live just yet. So you
I'll
might
look right
see
now.
that one coming next week. But
Yeah.
I mean, so personally, I would change the
Yeah,
strap.
sorry, George. That's coming next week.
I would change the strap because the tone on tone thing is not my favorite.
what, though?
I'd like to
No.
have a little more
No,
contrast.
No. I was actually. It's funny as you were modeling so wonderfully over there. I was thinking to myself, I had never noticed that strap on the watch, and I really like it. I don't know what it is. It makes it more subtle because I feel like I've seen that on a darker strap usually.
I thought this was the stock strap. It is a Patek
probably
strap.
is, but I don't know why I have it in my head where I'm imagining it on a darker strap, and I really kind of like it on that taupe with the stitching. It again, like it's a steel Patek, so there's no reason why you can't dress it down a little
Yeah.
bit. And it
And
should
they've
be a little
moved
more
very much in
casual.
that direction. They have so many
have.
watches now that come on calfskin.
Yeah, which I think is smart.
And like with the contrast stitch and things like that, it's not just, you know, shiny black alligator
Right.
anymore like it used to be.
Right.
Not that there's anything wrong.
So that pretty much wraps it up for us, you guys. We that was a really fast 60 minutes.
Cool.
We absolutely loved showing stuff off. You know, hanging out with you guys. Really appreciate all the interaction, all the questions. This has been an absolute blast for us. We hope that we're just getting a little, you know, we're getting better and better every
Yeah.
week. And you know, again, like if you guys have, even throughout the week, if you have questions, if you have, you know, things you want to see, shoot us a message. Shoot it to the European Watch Company Instagram. Shoot it to Rob and I. Go over to our YouTube channel. Keep an eye on everything, and we're gonna keep this rolling.
We look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good weekend, everybody.
See you later, guys.
Cheers. You're empty.
Sorry, I can't choose you.
You got thirsty. It's not your
Well, I
fault.
started a little earlier.